What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Replayer Podcast. I'm Dan, your host this week, and joining me, of course, is my co-host, Pagan.
Hello.
Hello. Is everything okay, Pagan?
Everything's fine, thank you. Sorry.
Okay, cool. I hope it's fine because we have an amazing guest with us this week. We have the one and only Paul Both joining us on the podcast.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Paul.
Hello, Dan and Pagan.
Hello, Paul.
Thank you for joining us, Paul.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Oh my God, we've been waiting to do this for a while. Like we talked about getting you on a while ago, and we were trying to get a good timing. We're so happy you're able to join us today and get to have a chat with you. We've been making our way through the Retro Replay cast. I don't know what we're gonna do when we get to you, Pagan.
I feel like you don't need to get to me. There's nothing to tell me about me that people have not already heard.
All right.
So true.
Well, Paul, now that we have you on the show, we just got some questions. Want to learn a little bit about you, what makes you tick. Pagan might ask you some really uncomfortable questions that she has a tendency to do.
I've got plenty of those.
Oh, awesome. I can't wait.
All right. So just to get things kicked off, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, basics.
Well, I'm obviously the location sound guy and post-production mixer of Retro Replay. And it's I've been with the show for, I guess it's going to be coming up on 2 years in April.
Okay,
yeah.
2 years.
Yeah. So I do that for the show, and then I do the same type of stuff for, a bunch of other productions. So, yeah.
Okay, so you're not exclusively to Retro Replay or Red Bear?
No.
Okay, so how does that work then? Do you work for a external agency that you get contracted out?
No, so I do have one steady. I work for a company steadily. We do airline edits we edit TV shows and movies for the airline industry.
Oh, okay.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah. I've been there for, oh gosh, I think it's coming up on 18 years.
Wow.
But the whole time that I've worked there, I was freelance. I'm actually technically an employee now, but when I started there, I said, I'll do this, but then I have to have the flexibility to go do location sound as well. So that's been really amazing because there's a lot of people who, if you're a freelance guy, a lot of times work gets steady and then it gets slow, and you have to kind of plan for those slow times, which can be difficult. But I've been just really fortunate to be able to have that steady gig, but then also be able to pull off and do my own stuff, which is awesome. And I think I would get tired of either being in the studio all the time or also being on location all the time. It just gets a little bit too monotonous for me. I mean, I love to travel, but I don't think I'd want to travel all the time. So, interesting story is that's actually how I found Retro Replay, or I guess I should say they found me. Drew was in doing a commercial spot with PJ, and he said, "Hey, I produced this YouTube show, and the voice actors are just really super dynamic. They get loud in parts, and then they get soft because they're doing characters and all this kind of stuff." And he goes, "What can I do about that?" I go, "Well, there's really no easy fix, right? I mean, you have to have somebody who's, location sound mixer who's mixing the show while they're talking, and then you need to do the post-production mix." So, and then they hired me. So
nice.
That's how that happened.
That's really cool.
Well, my next question was, how did you get to work with Retro Replay? But got it. So
I preempted you.
You said that you had you do mix obviously with freelance and then a company that you work steadily for. How much has COVID really affected your, I guess, freelance work and things? Like you're saying, there's ups and downs. Is this has this been a big down, maybe the biggest down you've had?
Yeah, for sure. No, all the location gigs pretty much dried up. I mean, except for, if I consider Retro Replay a location gig, which I do sort of, that never dried up. Thankfully, we've kind of found ways to get around that, which was awesome. It was really nice to have that kind of steady thing still going. So I felt that sort of normalcy, but then also for what happened with COVID on the airline side is we just all immediately went and worked from home. So I have a home studio, and so that actually worked out really well. We figured out a way to make it all work, and
it's a very
so
lovely home studio, I might add.
Oh, thank you. Well, you know what? It's one of the. I think when anything bad happens, maybe some good things happen too, and so a blessing in disguise on this is that it kind of forced me to upgrade my studio and make it kind of. I'm like, I'm going to have to like spend a lot of time in here, so I need to do all these different things, and I'm glad that happened. So I'm not glad that COVID happened,
right?
Of course, obviously, but I'm glad that I was kind of forced to make it a nicer space to be in. So, but thank you for noticing. Thank you.
Oh, it's very impressive to me, honestly. I'm a little jealous. I'm like, ooh, that's nice. I like that. I want that. One day, I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it looks great. You got a new microphone there?
I do have a new microphone. I'm trying to fine tune my space here, and I got a TV. It's got a PlayStation 2 on it right now.
Oh, nice.
Super high tech.
Yes. It's gonna get that custom fancy sounds.
Yeah.
I got a closet.
Well, the mic sounds great. So yeah.
Perfect. That's what I'm going for. One step at a time. I bet you could probably produce just about anything out of there, can't you?
Yeah, I would have I couldn't record drums unless I did like MIDI drums. But most of the stuff that I would do in here is going to be voiceover work, or any kind of recording. But I actually do plan on doing some music in here again at some point, which would be nice. But yeah, it's functional for. Another problem that I had in the studio was upstairs. It was too small, so I couldn't get a producer or director at a desk. So one of the biggest reasons I did this, so I could have that desk right there for a producer or director. So
Amazing. Well, you have quite a lot of instruments in the background. Do you have like an instrument that you play, or do you play everything, or is there one particular one that you favor?
I play a little bit of everything, sort of okay. I started out as a drummer, and and I was in marching band. I really loved drums. And my buddy who was in a band in high school, he wanted to sell me his drum set. And so I said, and my heart said, well, if you make half the money, we'll put up the other half. But then in high school, I was not the greatest kid. So I got kicked out of my high school, and they said, yeah, ixnay on the drums. But I don't think it was really that. I think it was that they didn't want, this was before electronic drum, or well, maybe there was sort of electronic drums, but I just don't think they wanted to hear that drum set.
Was this the 80s? Like 80s electronic drums?
It would have been 80s. Yeah, it would have been like 82 or 83. I just radically aged myself, but no secret.
I'm just thinking about how much I love like 80s electric drums. So
yeah. But this was a acoustic set. So I think they just really didn't want to hear that. Well, probably getting kicked out of school wasn't a good thing either. So anyway, then kind of my drumming career was stopped. So then I became a singer. So that's kind of
you sing?
Yeah, that's
know this.
Yeah, that's what I did.
You haven't learned this, Pagan, after working X amount of episodes of Trailer Talk?
If I'm fairly honest, like Paul and I have such little interaction, other than when I come on for Retro Feud, we say hi, and then when we're in Trailer Talk, we have like a conversation with everybody else. Myself and Paul have never actually had like a full conversation together, though.
No,
fantastic.
Nice.
I know. I was all excited. I'm like, wow, I get to talk to Pagan and Dan, and especially, Pagan, because we never talk.
We never really have a chance. It's just more like hi.
I always go,
it's so great.
I go on the IFB. I go, hi, Pagan.
Yeah.
She go, hi, Paul. That's it.
How's it going?
It's actually one of the nicest things, because the first time we ever did Retro Feud, like ever, I was like so nervous, and I was like, okay, here we go, because I have to go on, and I'll see Nolan, and I'll probably hear Drew, and I have talks all the time.
Sure,
but I don't like really talk to anybody else. I don't have the time. Like nobody, you know what I mean? Like we don't have like, hey, let's just sit down and have a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
So like the first time I was doing Retro Feud, it was the cutest thing, because you went over to do a clip, like a clipboard for Nolan, and I could just see you like this.
Yeah.
And you're just like, clip. Hi, Pagan. gave me a wave and I was like, oh, this is the nicest crew.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
I still remember shortly after Pagan had started doing more like actual like set work and recording with you guys, like she told me too, she was like, so Paul is like the nicest guy. I was like, really? Like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I know you want to say you wouldn't know it looking at me. That's what you're thinking.
I just had to guess.
Right on the like you said, like you come on the mic and you're just like, hello, Pagan. I'm like, hi, Pagan. I'm like, hi. Like I never see you. I can only hear you.
No, and when we do the show, it's literally like you come on and it's like you've got the guests already. We bring them in and then we're done and it's like out. And so it's very quick.
It's almost much like how we record the podcast at this point. Like Pagan and I are just like, hey, how's it going? How's your week? Like we're actually catching up with each other when we're talking on the podcast. Yeah. Like, oh, cool. All right, cool.
Well, as opposed to this, when we've talked for literally an hour before we started the show.
As opposed to this one. Yeah.
That doesn't happen. To bring it back around, you were talking about like how you got into music at a young age and you had your drum set and you do a little bit of everything. You did some singing. And I wanted to ask like how you got into doing like mixing and sound engineering and how does that play into that?
Well, I lived on the Sunset Strip, like you heard of the Whiskey A Go-Go, right? Famous club in LA.
No, actually I have. Yes. Yep. Yeah.
So my band lived like 2 doors up from there. And it was a really depressing time because it was the 90s. So it was the grunge scene. So we were very much more like, I don't know, maybe a cross between Skid Row and Metallica kind of a thing.
Okay.
And if you know anything about the 90s, when the grunge thing hit, it's like, forget about it. Just the LA scene was done. Dried up and
it all went to Seattle, right?
Yes. And it was really depressing because then anybody who was left, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love all that music. I really, really do. Like some of my favorite bands. I mean, came from the Seattle scene, but it was just a depressing time, I think.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you were very heavy into, if you were basically trying to be like a Metallica, I could see how, that would be tough because everyone's going the grunge way and you're still
weathered it better than most bands. But I mean, like if you could even be considered like a hair metal band, which I think we kind of, oscillated in and out of, excuse me. But it just was, just bands are getting dropped left and right and just nobody, it just sucked. So anyway, I was like kind of depressed and done with music. So a buddy of mine, actually, it was funny, interesting. Boondock Saints. Do you know that movie?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Troy Duffy.
Wait, what? What?
That's a call. That's a call. Yeah.
All right.
But anyway, Troy Duffy, the writer and the director of the film, he played bass with us for a little while.
Oh, really?
And he said, hey, my friend's down doing a acting showcase and they've got free food. That's what he told me.
Free food.
And so the whole band's like, yeah, let's go there, And so I watched that showcase and just basically got the acting bug. And so I quit my band and started taking acting lessons and got into
screw you guys. I'm gonna go be an actor.
Fascinating. Okay.
And got into that for a while and loved it. Did some plays and stuff and didn't do anything of note. But through that period, I was still kind of doing some music. So I decided to start a studio. And this was kind of on the verge of when Pro Tools and all the really, really non-linear digital recorders, DAWs kind of started ramping up, so it's like 96, 97. So I started my studio and then I knew all these singer-songwriters, because actors a lot of times would be like kind of singer-songwriters or whatever. And I met some of those and I started kind of producing them. But then realized I'll try to condense this.
No, it's fine.
Just kind of realized that a lot of musicians are broke. So one thing sort of led to another, and I fell into doing post-production sound with the studio. I go, that's a good way to actually make money because clients like that do radio spots or TV spots and mix kind of stuff like that, or corporate stuff. All of that is where the better paying things are, until I mean, you can produce bands and stuff, but it's like nothing or you do really well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
this was a more steady thing. So that's how I ended up in sound. Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome. I didn't know that you were a singer or that you had acting experience or you're an actor. That's awesome. I love this. This is great.
It's
We should
quite
get
the-
beers when I go to LA, Paul. Let's fucking
Oh,
go,
for sure.
bro.
Please,
Yeah.
For
let's-
sure. Yes. You better come out here.
We all need to
Yeah.
get beers.
For sure.
Yes.
For sure.
Oh yeah. Maybe when you come out, Dan, we can like,
Oh my God, please. Like,
coordinate it. That would be awesome.
I love
Yeah,
me a
right?
good craft beer. I love a good stout. Like, and I know you, sir, are
Me too.
I know you like your beer. Like, we've had plenty of chats, even in live chat, just talking about beer.
Yeah.
And I remember I think it was it Drew or it was probably Drew. There was somebody I used to have live chats, conversations about whiskey.
Yeah, Drew's the bigger whiskey guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it, but I'll just really just sip it, and I really rye whiskey I love. But yeah, beer is kind of my go-to, and stout. Stouts were my gateway beer. That's kind of what really got me into, and it was Guinness, in fact.
Yeah,
because I'm all yeah. So, I mean, I've always loved beer, but I used to drink. I mean, believe me, my band would drink whatever we could get our hands on. It was it was awful. And then, I don't know, I guess it would have been, I don't know, mid to late 2000s. And I started really getting into craft beer, which has just been a wonderful journey. I mean, I love it. And there's so many different styles and different exciting things about beer,
Have you ever brewed anything yourself?
Yes.
Nice.
Oh, you brew your
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I got super into that. And started out with just 5-gallon batches, and then I tend to get sort of obsessed with stuff. So I graduated from that, then to 10-gallon, and then to 31-gallon, which is,
oh my God.
Which is a 1-barrel system.
Yeah.
So I haven't brewed though in like 2.5 years.
No way.
What was the first kind of beer you tried to brew?
I think the first one was a stout. It was it was a milk. Yeah, it was a milk stout, and it actually turned out pretty good. I mean, there's different ways to brew. There's kind of extract brewing, and then there's all grain brewing. And extract is where you kind of do it on the stove, and you mix kind of the sugar is in a syrup, and you mix that with water, and it's much easier way to start. So, but it's not the way that the breweries do it, so it doesn't quite. It can sort of have that kind of homebrewed taste. But it was still, I remember back at that, oh my God, that was one of the best beers because I had brewed it, and it was just like, it was,
I'm sure there was like a massive sense of like accomplishment too. Like, I made this is amazing kind of thing.
Yeah, no. Yeah. It was just, it's just incredible too, because then you learn how it actually happens, that the yeast eats the sugar and creates ethanol, and the way you carbonate it. If you carbonate in the bottle, you add more sugar and a little bit, and the yeast that's still in there, then the CO2 can't get out. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's chemistry. It's it's wild because I have there's one of our best friends here in Wexford. His name's Kevin, and you're just him. Like it's so wild. I can't even tell you how wild. He brews. He actually works in a brewery because he has such a passion for beer and craft beer. Yeah. And he works in a brewery in Carlow. And he makes his own mead. He brews mead.
Oh, wow.
Himself. And he works in he loves theater, and he used to love working in as a stagehand in musical theater and theater shows here in Wexford and then Dublin. And I'm like, it's so wild. You're just the same person. It's so cool.
That's awesome.
But yeah, if I ever can't bring, I'll bring something. I think you can bring liquids, but I don't in cargo or whatever, but I'll bring them
on a plane.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You can put, you just check it. It.
You can't ship liquid though. Did you know that? I can't buy a crate of
for sure.
Anything. You can't ship it. Yeah. It's really awkward. I'm like, oh, sucks.
Well, you mean internationally? Because
I get, internationally.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I couldn't buy, because there's a craft beer pub here in Wexford that is just class. It's really, really good. And they have this steampunk vibe. It's very cool. And I'm like, oh, I'd love to send some over to
nice.
Retro Replay, and they do like limited edition stuff as well. So I'm like, oh, that'd be so cool. But you can't ship liquids internationally. I was like, that sucks.
Yeah.
So
then I'm sorry, but yes, you can just bring it with you.
I'll just
ship
bring
yourself.
it with you. I'll ship myself.
You ship yourself here.
There's no luggage. Like there's just cargo. Like my whole luggage hand, like everything will just be filled with beer.
Yeah, right.
I have no clothes.
We can just buy you. We can buy your clothes when you get here.
Yeah, I'll buy clothes when I get there.
On a similar note, my mom lives in Germany, and the last time I went to visit her in Germany, she asked me to pack a suitcase full of Red Hot, the hot sauce.
Oh,
because they don't have Red Hot in Germany, and she's like, I miss Red Hot. I need some. Bring that over.
That's fair. Crazy. I'd be the same. If there's like a particular condiment, I'm a condiment person. I really like them. So if there's something that I'm like, I can't get a hold of, like Nando's sauces are great. Sorry, that was a weird fucking tangent.
What is it called? What sauce? What sauce?
Nando's.
Oh, you don't have a Chick-fil-A in Ireland.
No, I'd love to.
Okay, but you do, right? Do you have Chick-fil-A out? That Chick-fil-A sauce. Sorry, another tangent. That is the best. Is the best. If I like was in a place where I couldn't go to Chick-fil-A, I'd probably be calling in some favors and trying to get some Chick-fil-A sauce.
I actually only had Chick-fil-A for the first time, I think maybe 6 months before I moved to Texas, because I'm originally from New York, upstate, where there wasn't any Chick-fil-A's, but they had just opened one. I think almost an hour away, and I happened to be there for something, and I was like, I'm going to try a Chick-fil-A because I've never had it before, but it's very common here in Texas where I am now.
Okay. Yeah, it's common here in California for sure.
Yeah. I've had conversations with other replayers. I think especially Ashton's of that, where I was like, I haven't had a lot of fast food in America, but I love American food. Like whenever I've gone there, I just loved it. But I've never had like other than McDonald's or maybe Wendy's. Did we ever go to Wendy's? Maybe. But I was like, I need to try White Castle. I need to try In-N-Out Burger. I want to try Chick-fil-A. I need to try Taco Bell. Like I've never tried any of that.
Everybody when they come to California and they have to go to In-N-Out and stuff, and I'm like, I've never gotten In-N-Out.
I didn't care for In-N-Out that much either, because
fries are terrible.
I lived in California for 4 years too, and I had that same like everyone's like, you got to go to In-N-Out, you got to try In-N-Out, and I went there and I'm like, okay, this is basically just a basic ass burger and some bad fries, so I don't get it.
I think the only place that I've gone to in California that I can remember eating at was an IHOP. The server was dog shit, and like she was the worst person. But
because you went to an IHOP,
the food was so good. Yeah, I don't know. It just says it's a pancake.
Don't get me wrong.
And I'm
I like
IHOP.
I don't mind going to IHOP every once in a while. IHOP or Denny's, like those are the best places to go, especially if it's like the middle of the night and you're kind of drunk and you're trying to like, I got to get some food in my belly. You go to Denny's or IHOP.
Chocolate chip pancakes with boysenberry syrup. Oh my god.
Oh wow. I think I had white chocolate and raspberry pancakes.
Oh, that sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, they're so good.
If we can go down another sauce tangent,
sorry.
Something I'm a big fan of here is called Yum Yum sauce. That is at a lot of like Asian restaurants, as far as like there was a couple of most places. If you go to a place that's got like the Mongolian barbecue or like the stir fry, like a Benihana, you know, that kind of thing, where it's like the big grill and you watch the guy actually like cook your food in front of you. A lot of those places you'll go and they'll give you 2 cups of sauce. There's like a white creamy sauce and then there's like a brown sauce. The creamy sauce is meant for like seafood and chicken. That's what they call a Yum Yum sauce. And that shit's amazing.
I've never had that.
That shit's amazing. I'm going to Google it. Oh, wow.
You can buy it in stores in a lot of places too. Like there's like a PF Chang's Yum Yum sauce.
Yeah, it's in Walmart, I think it says.
Yep.
Well, sriracha goes on pretty much everything I eat, so.
I mix sriracha and Yum Yum sauce together.
Oh,
you
really?
Can make it. You can actually make you can make it. It's basically mayonnaise with ketchup or tomato paste, and then a little bit of butter, garlic powder, and like paprika.
Pretty simple.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Isn't that like McDonald's special sauce was just mayonnaise and ketchup mixed together or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have that here too, though. Like it's just like it's mayonnaise and ketchup mixed together because you're gonna do it anyway. Well,
anyways, rip. Get us back on track. It's a massive tangent.
Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you about the your outside hobbies that I'm aware of, Paul. That you're a big running and cyclist.
Yeah, I love to run and cycle. I got into running like in 2005, I think.
Yeah.
My daughter was like, "Hey, you want to do a 5K?"
Mm.
And I'm like, "Sure." I mean, I hated running my whole life. Couldn't stand it. I mean, like most people, like most sane people,
Yeah. Most
they
sane
hate
people
running.
like,
It's like, why would you run? And plus, I had leg surgery when I was 7 years old. They rather extensive. They cut both of my femurs and turned the top part of them and pinned them together. And I was in a body cast for months. And so I always
Oh my
thought,
God.
yeah, I always thought that I ran funny, and I've seen video and I do run funny. So,
I've seen video.
Yeah, so that's why I kind of knew, or I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't like to run. But anyway, so I started it. I just went on a run walk program, and then graduated to the 5K. And again, like most things, I get really obsessed. So then I started training for a half marathon, then a marathon, and then I did an Ironman in 2008.
Mm.
You guys know what the Ironman is?
It's like a triathlon?
Yeah, triathlon,
Okay.
but it's like the long one.
It's the biggest one.
Yeah. So so I did that and was finished, was happy about that. And then in 2010, I just got some weird bug up my ass and ran from Huntington Beach, California to the Statue of Liberty in New York.
Yeah.
So, and that took 4.5 months.
Come again? You ran across the country, like literally across the country.
Across the country.
4.5 months.
Yes.
Woo.
It was 121 running days. 145 days complete out on the road.
Full on like Forrest Gump.
That's some Forrest Gump shit. So did you have plans of like where you would stop and where you would stay? Like, was this all completely planned out?
Yeah, and
I would say you would have to be, right?
It was It was so funny because I just remember, and I planned it up again obsessively. Drew a line across Google Map, and it took me, and I would go, okay, I'm going to stop here today. And I had it all planned out, dates and everything. And I stressed myself out so much doing that, especially when I got out there. Then because you don't know things like that. I mean, how would you know like how that's all going to go?
Yeah.
That it was good though, because I had a schedule that I felt like I needed to keep. I mean, I knew I ran like 25 miles a day average. And I knew I had to do that to get done by when I wanted to get done. But then I learned so many things out there, about running across the country and about myself, and one of the things is you got to let go of plans and realize you're on a journey,
the best laid plans, right?
Yeah. But then once you embrace that, I think that's a really cool thing that happens where you can, I mean, I think, I don't know, it's always a balancing act. You don't want to throw all your plans out the window and then just go like a feather in the wind, go back to, like Forrest Gump reference. But because then you feel like maybe you're just like, not disciplined and things like that. But then the other thing is you can't be so tied to that, so married to that you aren't willing to let go when you need to,
right.
I had to learn, like, it's okay to go stop over there, for 2 hours, because that's going to be the thing that I'm going to remember. Not that I, ended at this spot
right
today.
Okay.
So anyway, that's one of the things I learned while I was out there.
That's great. That's so cool. I very much second and believe that too. And like, I've met plenty of people who are like, they're so dead set in plans, and if something goes wrong, it's like the end of the world. So like, that's a great lesson to learn. And like,
I didn't say I learned it. I didn't say I learned it. Well, I guess maybe I did, but I didn't mean it. It's an ongoing battle, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I think like I'm definitely that kind of person that would panic if stuff isn't going according to plan, or like there's something scheduled and it's just going not the way it should be going. I start panicking, and people are like, just chill, like just be laid back. It's not like no one's dead. It's fine. And I'm like,
well, it's not so much about like, not being like no plans, but also like have a balance,
Yes.
Just like pretty much anything in life.
Yeah. Because I mean, so many things that I've looked back on where I was like, so, married to an idea, and so, deathly afraid of anything veering off of that. I've gone back and going, I'm so glad that happened. Because all of these other cool things happened because of that. And if I would have just let go, I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more.
Sure.
So I am definitely learning that. And my oldest daughter helps me a lot with that. She, try to remember that when sometimes it's not so easy to remember.
Fair.
So
but after that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so it was your daughter's fault, is what you're saying.
Yes, exactly.
See, now I thought it was gonna be because of the beer. You're like, I got to do something about this.
No, that's a good byproduct of it. You know, if I'm drinking too much beer, I just up my miles. So you know,
good balance.
Beer is very much fuel, and I'm a firm believer. I mean, it literally is. I mean,
it's pure carbs.
And after that run, then I got into, well, I was already into cycling, but I started cycle touring because it's a lot easier when you're on a bike, right? Yeah. If like a brewery's, and that's one thing I always do on my journeys is I kind of plan it sort of around breweries. So now there's a lot more now than there was in 2010. So it's easier. But like if you're running and there's a brewery 10 miles out of the way, you're not going to go. But if there is, and you're on your bike, you know, you'll go. So I have like a touring bike, a bicycle, and with panniers on it and everything. And I put everything on there and I just go. And so I've done Canada to Mexico. I've done a couple smaller trips. I flew out to Boston and was riding back in 2012. I got hit on my bike south of Chicago. Luckily the guy stopped, but I had some broken vertebrae and ankle and rib and stuff. And, so that was a little scary, but I ended up going back out like a couple of years later, and that's when I did the Canada to Mexico. So, but I've just been so busy now, working.
To Mexico?
Yeah.
On a bike?
And at the West Coast route, which I don't know if you know, like you would think, okay, it's on the coast. Well, maybe you know because Ireland, but because it's probably very hilly in Ireland. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah. So along the West Coast from Canada to Mexico is like this the whole way, and like this, you know. So I think as
mountains, right?
Yeah, I mean, as the like on the coast. So,
right on the coast.
Right on the coast. Okay. Yeah. So as the crow flies, it's probably 1,100 miles or something like that, jeez. And the whole trip was like 1,800. Mm-hmm. Just because, it's just, but it's gorgeous.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know, it's amazingly gorgeous.
I feel like after having a podcast chat with Paul, you're just kind of like, I'm sitting here being like, I really need to readjust my life values. I need to get back into fitness.
You do, Peyton.
That's incredible, man. That's amazing.
Well, again,
how you bounced back as well from like car incident and everything. That's incredible.
What's that?
Yeah.
That you bounced back from like the accident when you got hit.
Yeah, well, I was, it wasn't fun. I was down for a few months, you know, but then I quit working for a couple years. Not completely, but I still did some location stuff, but I took a couple of years off and just brewed beer. That's when I got into brewing beer.
Amazing.
So I still worked. I just worked brewing. Yeah, I just worked brewing beer, you know? So yeah.
I was going to ask, cool. Like, you spent 4 months running from one side of the country to the other. Like, did you work then? Like, what was the job situation then? Or were you freelancing?
No, I didn't. I financed it myself. I didn't do like any of the charity stuff or nobody, financed it. I sold all of my gear, not my location gear, but my studio gear, and went and did it. I had kind of I owed a bunch of tax money and I got all pissed. There it is. But I got all super, super pissed off about that and was just like, and so my run was called the Run for Liberty. So like both technically or, literally and figuratively. But I got all that worked out, thank God, a couple years later. But yeah, that's kind of what that was about. So I just went, you just kind of, sometimes I just needed a reset,
Mm-hmm.
But
that's right.
But I ended up meeting so many amazing people. And I mean, this country is unbelievably gorgeous. Yeah. And so I wouldn't have changed it. That's another example of something where I just thought my life was just so terrible because I owed this money in taxes, and then I look back at it now and I think that's one of the best things that ever happened to me because I would have never taken that journey, which was so life-changing. Never would have met all the people that I met, gained a passion for like Route 66 and traveling and doing adventures like that. That would have never happened. So that's kind of where the times where you go, you just gotta sometimes got to let go,
Yeah. That's amazing.
Cool.
It's like, yeah. Can you just start like a motivational podcast, please? I'll sign up. I'll be your first listener. That's amazing, man. So cool.
I'm just looking forward to like I need to find that balance of being able to drink beer and exercise and just be happy. Oh man, that's something I actually would like to do.
I just it's the first thing I do in the morning is run. And that kind of sets me up for the whole day,
In the morning?
Well, when my mileage is where it's supposed to be.
Okay.
Yeah, usually, miles. I have my different routes that I do, anywhere between, depending on the day, if I'm not training for a race, anywhere between 2 to 6 miles.
Okay.
So like on an average day.
Yeah.
If I'm training for a race, then obviously it goes.
Longer.
And when I say race, I don't mean I'm fast. I'm not racing anybody but like me, and I'm slower than shit. So, but it's crazy when I watch like all these fast runners and the talent that they have is just unbelievable. Or talent in anything is like that,
I can't imagine like ever doing something like that, like Ironman or any sort of triathlons or things like that, like competitively, because I feel like it's just enough for you to finish it. Like it's just enough for you to actually just get through it and finish it. If you want to do it the following year and try and beat your time, then that's something else. But I'm like, the people who do it like competitively, that they actually win, I'm like, they are beasts. Like they're unbelievable. Some other species.
It's got to be more like, for most people, it's like climbing a mountain. Like it's just the doing it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like, yes, I did this, just to say I did it and to have that sense of accomplishment,
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, no,
I always wanted to do I don't know if you ever have this in I'm sure you guys do. We have something called Tough Mudder in England, and then they do it in Ireland as well occasionally, and I was like I might do that, but like I can only do certain things, and like there's stuff that I just absolutely won't do because and it's a horrible thing to think of that, because how like you're like, oh, you shouldn't let fear stop you, you should just push past it and you'll feel better otherwise. I can't do that. They have like these massive, so sorry for anybody listening that doesn't understand what Tough Mudder is. It's basically it's an obstacle course, and it's usually less than a marathon. Like it's not as long at all, but there's just shit that you have to go through, like go under barbed wire, or you have to run through a field of hanging wires that give you electric shocks. You have to dip into really cold water. Yeah, really cold water. And then at one point they have to go through this like tunnel, which basically looks like, those massive concrete pipes, like really big concrete pipes, enough to fit like an adult man inside. They do that, but at some point that has water in it, and I can't. I have too much anxiety because I don't want to. I don't like confined spaces where I'm like lack of air. And then there's also like a water, like it's ice water, and you have to dip underneath a wall. Pretty sure I could do that, but after you dip underneath the wall, you have to go, I guess, across, and there's like this much of a gap between you and wire fencing, so that if you want to come up for air, you're literally like, you have this much space.
This sounds like the worst Tough Mudder I've ever heard of.
It's in England.
I mean, because ours
so
are
hard.
I mean, I've never done one because I don't like to get wet or muddy or anything like that. And plus, I'm super into gadgets, and I don't want them to get wet, and I don't like a ton of like variables. I just, if like I'm working against a time, I don't want like to have people throwing like, water balloons or something at me, because they do all these weird things, like some of those, they throw shit at you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just have I've never done one, but I know about them and seen them. That one sounds really, really bad.
Yeah, it's tough. It was one in England, and a lot of my friends did it, and they're like, oh, it's amazing. And I'm like, yeah, I would do it, but there's parts of it where you can just be like, I have to walk around this. Like I won't do it, and they won't force you to do it or anything. But yeah, it can be really challenging. I've always wanted to do one, bar those like confined spaces ones, because I'm like, there's just no point in putting myself through that stress.
It's so funny.
Not in army training or anything. I'm not like, why would I?
I was on the verge of comparing it to like my Navy boot camp battle
Oh,
station.
You're in the Navy?
Yeah. I served in the Navy.
Oh, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
at the end of boot camp, we have to do this thing called general quarters, and it's basically just an all night long, all day long, just gauntlet of stuff that you have to go through. And it was similar to some of the stuff you started to talk about, minus the water and the submersion and all that like crazy stuff. Like I was like on the verge of comparing, and I'm like, oh no, I did.
No, it is. It's similar, but yours is like more grueling over a long period of time. This you could complete in like an hour and a half.
This was basically I want to say a 48-hour stretch, because like you get up one day and you have to go about your day as you normally would, and then it was after dinner, 6 p.m., 7 p.m., whatever. You have to go to the first general quarters station, and then it was just all night long. You just went from station to station to station, and then you had to go into the next day and finish that whole day still. And like you weren't allowed to sleep, you weren't allowed to rest. Like you got to stop and eat, for meals and things, but otherwise it was just a nonstop thing. And honestly, it was like we've been talking about. It was really rewarding. It was really satisfying to accomplish and to complete. And there was some of those challenges that like I actually found them very fun to do. And it wasn't stuff that we specifically trained for. Like there was a part where they had like a simulated battlefield, and there was like barbed wire, and we had to drag a cot essentially with like a fake body in it, and the body weighed like 200 pounds through stone, and it was just brutally difficult. But ultimately I was like, this is awesome. I'm having a blast.
That's good though.
Well,
you had a good mindset though.
Yeah, that helps get through it. If you do have that sort of, look at anything like a challenge, and play games with it with yourself. And I mean, you can make just about anything, tolerable.
I do the same thing with running on my own side. Like I've gotten to where there's a trail here that at my best, I was doing like 4 miles a day. And I've since not been keeping up with that. But I do the same thing. Like I'll make little games with myself that like I'll give myself these little goals and objectives that push me to go further than I would otherwise.
Right.
There's I don't know if you want it. There's a free app called Zombies
The
Run.
Zombie Run one. Yeah. I have it. I've yet to use it. I've yet to use it.
I don't know if you know about it, Paul. It's basically like you can set goals, and it's gamification. By running a certain amount of miles, you collect stuff for your app, and like you set up a base camp and everything, and then it'll ask you to go get something, and it's six miles away, so you need to go and travel the 6 miles. But every so often you'll hear the sound of like zombies, and they're like moo, and then they're like zombies approaching in like 10 meters, like zombies approaching 5 meters, and you're like, oh my god. So you have to run, and then you have to run until you can't hear them anymore, so that they fade into the background. And it's really cool. Like gamification.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah, it like makes you sprint, and then like puts you back into a jog or puts you back into a walk. And it's really cool. It's nice and motivating.
That's brilliant.
It'll give you like these fake goals and objectives under the impression that if you don't run faster now, you're going to get gotten by the zombies kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool. I think that's like, it's just good to have motivating factors like that. Like I heard Apple talking about the Apple Watch and stuff, and and how the awards and stuff are just, it's very satisfying to get those little, hey, the little fireworks. You closed your rings and all that kind of stuff. I mean, and I don't care who you are. I don't care. Like elite athletes still love those little, little, incentives, right?
Those little acknowledgements.
And just something it's just cool to have that little, oh, look, I worked for that and there it is,
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. But that app sounds great. That sounds awesome.
It's cool. It's Zombies Run or Zombie Run.
I think we've talked about it before, and I actually downloaded it, but I've yet to actually try it.
Yeah, I've tried it once or twice. And Adam used to use it a little bit more than I did, but my fiance studies like gamification anyway. Like that's his master's / PhD. It's fascinating to like look at that. Like how does it motivate you through goals and accomplishments and things? And you build this whole like scenario. You build a base camp, and then you have people, and you have to survive, and you have to make sure that they survive. And,
so if Nolan did it, he would need clowns chasing him, I think.
Yeah.
We'll make that app for Nolan.
We'll just modify that app for Nolan. just like in the background, be like, oh God.
Sorry, Nolan.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask Paul, do we have any other like big hobbies like that? You said you get really like addicted, or you get really like stuck on
Obsessed with
something.
stuff.
Obsessed. Is there anything else like that that might have stuck with you?
No, I think, well, that is one thing I do, because I tend to get very obsessed with something, and then maybe over time it can start to dissipate, and then I pick another obsession. But I always try to keep something in there, you know. I never stop something completely, you know, so I just kind of add, you know, I'll never stop running, you know, I'll never stop music and stuff. It just may not be the major focus of my, you know, my life. I think I think that's about it.
Oh, cool. I mean, I'm like, I respect that, because you're able to stay focused on the things that you are passionate about. And I've had that struggle myself too, about like the journeyman or the master of nothing kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of problem is, and I feel that too, where it's like, I find so many things interesting and fascinating, but it's like, I have to be like, okay, I got to stick to the thing I got already. I got to worry about this and not worry about that. So
Right.
I respect that.
Well, again, it's balance too, right? I mean,
Sure.
and you know, prioritizing or whatever, and maybe you can, you know, give more focus on this for a time, and then kind of switch it over to this. And but yeah, I know what you mean. You don't want to be kind of okay at a bunch of different things, you know.
Right. Like,
That's what me.
Well, no, I don't think there's anything wrong
Too
with
many
being,
hobbies.
you know, proficient at a bunch of things, but yeah.
Yeah. That's fine.
like how you introduced your how your music career was, that you're like, I'm okay at a lot of things.
I bet you're an excellent singer.
Yeah, that's absolutely, yeah, actually, yeah.
Because like Pagan had asked about
like
the
that.
instruments.
Yeah, in the style of like
Yeah.
the worst singing then. Yeah. Do you like, what is it? Do you sing like, what's your style of singing? Is it like hair metal? Is it metal? Is it rock? Do you prefer like, is it operatic? Are you an opera singer?
I'm a metal singer. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
What kind of metal?
make
Like
the
Metallica
track, drop
metal?
the track, man. I'm downloading.
Yeah, it's on, I'm on all the things,
All the things.
all the things, iTunes and all that. So
What's
you
the
can
band name?
check it out. Dirty Dealing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
DIRTY.
Wait, you actually have a band on iTunes? I'm doing this right now. What did you say it was?
Yeah.
Dirty Dealing?
Dirty Dealing with no G,
Okay.
apostrophe.
Uh,
And then my
Pagan's
my
face.
music,
I'm so excited.
I did some solo stuff, and that's just my name, Paul Boff.
Okay, cool.
So I'm on
You did
yeah.
sorry. Yeah. Downloading it.
Done.
Is this 1994 Headache? Is that the name of the album?
Headache is the name of the album. Yeah.
No? Okay. Are you on the cover?
Yeah, it's me on the right.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dan, if you find this, will you insert this in post? But look. Oh, come
quite
on.
blurry.
Focus. You bastard. Anyway, that's in there. The, like super long hair.
I'll look it up. No, I've actually seen Paul with what looked like dreads.
So cool.
I had braids for a long time because, well, it started.
Really?
Yeah, it started because, it started because we went on a cruise to Ensenada, and I got my hair braided, and then I just had it that way for like 15 years.
Amazing.
It
You
made-
had it like that for 15 years?
Yeah, it made it easier
Amazing.
when I ran and cycled, because I just didn't have to do anything to it. And for like once a month, I'd re-braid it, and that was it. So, but you know, I pulled it off for about 15 years, and then finally, my oldest daughter looked at me and she goes, "I think it's time to get rid of the braids."
Like, it's
I
time.
see the braids
Mhm.
So there that
on your
was.
on
Yeah.
your
Yeah, there's the braids.
That is amazing. I'm adding all of this to my library.
It's
So
done.
the next time we speak, Paul, I will be well versed. I will be
Mm.
well versed in Dirty Dealing and Paul Boff's.
I look forward to
audio
checking that out,
history,
because
music
I'm a
history.
big fan of that kind of music. So I look
Oh,
forward
cool.
to checking that out. Yeah, I'm a big metalhead. You know, I grew up with 80s. I love 80s rock and metal.
Oh, awesome.
And even now, like, my big repertoire is usually a mixture of metal from all sorts of sides of things. So
Oh, nice.
I look
Well,
forward to that.
Well, I mean, I kind of just shelved it in my brain, in mid 90s, because it was literally like just nobody listened to that music. Well, that's not true. A lot of people just weren't listening to that kind of music anymore. So it was just, it was very depressing because like 94 was not the right time to release that. So
see, now that would have been right at the time when I started playing Doom, the PC game back when it first came out. And Doom, their intro theme song was a play off of Master of Puppets.
Oh, what, really?
If you hear the Doom song, you're gonna go, "That's Master of Puppets." That is absolutely Master of Puppets.
Yeah,
it's great.
So yeah, I don't talk about it. I don't talk about it really to anybody because, like I said, like just mentally, I just kind of shelved it. But it's interesting because I was just out a month ago shooting King Hammers, which is this off-road race, and I was in the trailer next to mine with the editors that are editing all the stuff for all the special packages and stuff. And I'm out shooting all day anyway, drinking a lot of beer. And for whatever reason, I'm listening to the music they're editing to. And I go, and I never do this, but I go, hey, I don't know, you may want to use like some of this, someday for a show or whatever. Cause that's just not cool to pitch your own stuff, But yeah, they called me they're like, oh my God, we could totally. And then the producer for Nitro Circus, they've got a show coming up with these cigar boats and all these celebrities and stuff. And I don't know what they're going to use, but they go, hey, is it cool if we use some of your stuff for the show? I'm like, of course. Yeah. So we got some of that going into the Nitro Circus just so it pays to no editors, right?
Right.
But I think 10 years ago, I would have never even considered any of that, that any of that would have worked for something. So that's kind of nice surprise.
Yeah, I feel like this kind of stuff though is coming right back around. So
everything
it's probably a really
new.
good time for everything to catch back up. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Which is I mean, that kind of cyclical thing always happens.
Yes.
But I remember for me when like I was a teenager, things would come back, but it was almost like a nostalgia thing. Like the Stray Cats, for instance. Well, I mean, I don't know, but it was like 50s rockabilly, but it was like people weren't legitimately liking music from the 50s. It was like a retro thing.
Yeah.
But now I talk to kids and like they legitimately listen to Iron Maiden, they listen to Judas Priest, they listen to all these bands, and they're saying like this is way better than the shit that we're getting. Like
way better.
Most of the stuff. And so it's not like they're going, oh, this is kind of cool. Like we're playing our parents' music as a retro thing. No, it's like, that's exciting to see,
Yeah. We were kind of like, myself and Adam were talking as well. We are big metal fans as well. And we were just like, I think, especially during the time of COVID, we're like hoping that this is going to bring us more metal music. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like metal really, the best metal music comes out at times of like crisis or like political crisis or things like that as well.
Yeah.
And like, I think like when Trump got president, like Slipknot released their album and like Corey Taylor released his album and you're like, this is dope. Like, I'm so excited. So we were just like, I wonder if like COVID, this whole process is going to bring out new metal artists and just kind of take everybody back to being like, to writing about hardcore shit. I listen, I mean, I'm a metal fan. I'm not a massive metal head. Like I know about Judas Priest and Iron Maiden and Metallica and stuff like that. I like Metallica. Actually, the Black Album is probably my favorite, but everybody like shits all over me for that. And they're like, oh, that's not even metal. I'm like, oh, whatever. But like I like things like Killswitch Engage, which write about like mental health and positivity and things like that.
Engage.
Fucking dope music. So I'm really hoping all of this will just come back into like a metal phase and we'll start getting much better music, hopefully.
On the note of the music, it's funny because we talked about Mortal Kombat very recently with the trailer talk with Mortal Kombat, and we talked about the theme song for Mortal Kombat. There's another song that was featured in the original Mortal Kombat movie that to me is just as iconic, and it's a song by Fear Factory. They're one of like the biggest industrial metal bands, and they are one of my favorite metal bands in the world. They have a song in the movie when Johnny Cage and Scorpion fight.
Oh, cool.
So if you know that scene in the movie, you know this song.
I can't remember the song.
Yeah. Most people don't think about that, but me, that I latched onto that. Like I was like, who is this band? Who makes this music? And that's actually what introduced me to that band. And I've been a massive fan of theirs ever since.
That's happened to me a lot. I used to mix like skateboard and snowboard videos.
Yeah.
And I got turned on to so much cool music, from those. And artists that I ended up loving just from hearing like one song and a thing. I'm sure that happens all the time in games. And
I mean, Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
How many iconic
Yeah.
songs were in the Tony Hawk games that people love now? There's so many bands and songs in those games that I probably would have never heard of otherwise.
And
Right.
GTA.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. That's cool. That's fun.
Yeah. There you go.
All right.
This
I
is
think
fun.
this conversation has gone, but
Yeah, I
we
know.
should probably
usually
wrap it
does.
up. Yeah.
Go for it.
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, heck, it's been amazing getting to talk to you, Paul.
Oh, thank you.
Can you come back next week?
Yeah.
About the same
You
time?
come back every week? Yeah.
Can this be our show now? I mean, Pagan, you told Paul that he needs like a motivational podcast, so
Paul's gonna like just take it in for me. I'm gonna sign off. Paul's gonna come in. It's fine.
Well, I'm feeling a lot more love on this than I am on Trailer Talk.
I love most recently the best comment that I've seen recently was like, wow, it's amazing to see this like there's a movie that Paul maybe kind of might watch. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like it's probably the best comment that's recently on that video. I'm like, that's great.
No, it's awful. I mean, you'd think I was a movie snob or something, but I'm so passionate. I love films. I just.
Well, that's two now. I mean, like Cruella de Vil, you said that you may go see this because you were kind of interested in it, and then Nobody. You were like, yeah.
Oh, Nobody was. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, and you know what? That Cruella, for whatever reason, like I've watched the trailer now again a couple times, and I'm like, you know what? This actually does look really good.
Mhm.
Right.
I mean, sometimes you gotta like maybe watch it a couple times. And I I feel like, well, I know you guys do more. I think you guys might do more research than me. I don't know, but like I watch it and it's like I don't digest it maybe as quickly and unless and because I want to judge it in a way where I would judge it if, I mean, I'm watching a trailer. Does this interest me or not? And but I feel bad because I don't have a big gaming history. Like well, no, I think a lot of the trailers that we do, the community is very much like if I say something like I don't like superhero movies or something like that, I think it's the wrong demographic to say that to.
Hey, I came out and said I didn't like Star Wars. We're in the same boat there.
And yeah, where was the hate? You didn't get any hate.
I got no.
You
I
did
got
not.
some support.
Oh, the salt.
Yeah, that's
listen.
hilarious.
Yeah,
You said you hate Star Wars. You hadn't seen that.
I just didn't like Star Wars.
No, everybody still loves Pagan.
Everybody loves Pagan. If I can give some perspective on that, I wanted to chime in on that because, like you said, with the Cruella, where like you have to watch the trailer a couple of times, and I wanted to add to that since I'm not a part of that conversation normally, but like the trailer for Cruella, watching Trailer Talk and you guys discussing it, that was the first time I've seen the trailer, and I've only seen it that one time so far. And I will say that although knowing they're making a Cruella movie, I went, why? It was like, do we need this? But watching the trailer, looking at it from the standpoint of a movie, I was much more drawn to it by the shots, the framing, the colors, the cinematography. Those elements were pulling me in, and like you guys, you compared it very heavily to the Joker. And although I don't know, like you kind of said in the trailer talk, Paul, that you don't know if the story's really gonna support what we see in the trailer, the way it's shown was enough to make me go, you know what? I'm curious. I'm kind of interested to see what it is they're presenting here. What's this package going to be? And if nothing else, it looks like it could be a spectacle worth looking at.
Yeah, and definitely. Well, it doesn't hurt that that's Emma Stone. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like she's just so she's so amazing that it's like I would almost just watch her just sitting there watching paint dry, so
yeah.
Yeah, she's great.
She's so good. So I mean that really helps.
Right.
I think so. Yeah, maybe. Oh, I'm sure I'll check it out. But
yeah,
I feel like I'm on Trailer Talk right now.
Oh no. No, this was us trying to wrap up the podcast, which we're failing at. So with that, I'm going to close this out. And Paul, I don't know if you will, but if you do you want to share anything to tell the good people out there?
Like your socials, not like
projects.
words of wisdom.
Yeah.
Well, we did.
Well, it's a really good community.
Like, well.
By the way, on a serious note, I do just want to say that how great the community is. And I mean, I know a lot of people say it a lot, but it is true. I mean, and the cast and the crew, we have so much fun. I mean, we really do. And I think it's kind of, I hope that people can see that. And I think they do. And it's so much fun to see that people enjoy the show. And I really do love the community, like I said, and meeting you guys and seeing what you're doing with your podcast is very inspiring. And I just love being a part of this family. I mean, I know that I told you that my mom passed 2 weeks ago. And
so sorry.
within an hour, every person on the crew texted me and with their condolences. And I was just like, that's like, it's a family. It's a family. And it's just been a great 2 years. Anyway, that was my serious thing. Now my socials are easy. It's all Paul Both, my name. So Paul Both at Twitter, Paul Both, which you probably don't want to look at because sometimes I yell at people on there for political stuff. And I love everybody. It doesn't matter what your political stuff is, but maybe you don't nobody wants to go there. And then Paul Both on Facebook and
Dirty Dealing on iTunes, right?
Dirty Dealing, and Paul Both on iTunes and YouTube and all that kind of stuff.
Definitely gonna check that out.
I've already downloaded.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you, Pagan.
You're welcome. You are welcome.
All right. And then for us, Pagan, you are?
I'm at Pagan Plays on Twitter and at Pagan_plays on Instagram and Twitch.
Awesome. And I am Stark Evash on Twitter and Stark Evil Vash pretty much everywhere else. I'm actually just like at a loss for words at how great this conversation was. So thank you so much, Paul, for joining us this week.
Thank you for having me. It's been a blast, really.
I'm definitely going to try and get you back on again because
we'll
I feel like there's so much more to be talked about.
Well, as soon as when I get this construction done and I can relax a little bit, I'd be more than happy to come back on. I'd love to.
Awesome. A couple months, we'll do like a drunk podcast, a drunk cast.
Oh, please.
Let's have some beers. Yeah.
Please. Yeah. Let's do it like later in the day. Well, I know that's going to be difficult for you, but later in the day and I'll sit here and we'll drink beers and.
Yeah. Perfect.
Sounds good to me. We'll go out and get ourselves some fancy craft beers and knock a few back together.
And we got to plan YouTube flying out here.
Yes.
For sure.
Deal.
It's already done.
Yeah. Awesome. I've already booked my flights out.
All right. And then just to close us out here, as we like to mention, if you guys have any questions for Retro Replay or memberships, you can always email members@retroreplayshow.com. Pagan's there to help you out, answer your questions, or take care of anything you need help with. You've got Paul hooking up all those great sounds and making sure that we hear all those perfect jokes and the nonsense out of Nolan and everyone. And working out Drew's mic because we need this.
I have to talk to him about that.
Lastly, if you guys have any questions for us, you can always reach us at the thereplayerpodcast@gmail.com. You can find our podcast on all of your favorite podcasting services through Apple and Spotify or Google. And we're on YouTube every Wednesday. You can find our show.
And also, if you are listening to this on an audio podcasting platform, whether it's Google, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, feel free to rate it. Let us know what you like. Rate, comment, and we might read it out on the next show. Thank you.
Oh, no, you said comment. Now I'm going to get all the hate.
Listen, if somebody doesn't comment...
No hate comments for Paul, please.
If somebody doesn't give Pagan shit for not knowing the Boondock Saints, I don't know what we're doing wrong here.
We got to add that one to...
Fine, go for it. I'll get my fan base out.
All right, that's game over, folks. Good night.